it's disconnected again. Oh. FML. I just disconnected again. Graham really does need 50p for the meter. So what I'd normally do in situations like that is start a mobile hotspot with my phone and then continue to broadcast using a mobile hotspot. However, because I stupidly had auto stop turned on so I can stop streaming from my software, essentially if YouTube doesn't get any signal for like, I don't know, a minute, then it just it stops the stream. And I was like trying to stop it from doing that, but obviously I wasn't online, so I was trying to, yeah. Anyway, lol, that was awful. You said you shouldn't mention lol. We can hear you. That's good. Sound and video out of sync, says Graham Haller. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm very sorry if the sound and video is now out of sync. I don't know why that has happened. Yeah, annoying either way. He's talking about me. A power cut in the early 70s made me miss Scooby-Doo. I'm still annoyed about that. You're still annoyed? Oh, a power cut in the early... Oh, sorry, made me miss Scooby-Doo. God damn it. Have I missed much of the stream starting again? No, I haven't started really yet. I'm just waiting for everyone to file in. Sync is fine here, says Martin Harrow. Maybe someone's listening. Maybe Graham's listening on Bluetooth speakers or something, and it has that, you know, half a second pause between actually getting out the speakers. God, Bluetooth's a garbage technology. Trip, lost ministry. My magic crystal ball says place rocks all over your neighbour's lawn. What? Okay, so I was about to give you a quote by Alan Moore. Should be Sir Alan Moore, but he would never accept that kind of gong. The main thing that I learned about conspiracy theory is that conspiracy theorists believe in a conspiracy because that is more comforting. The truth of the world is that it is actually chaotic. The truth is that it's not the Illuminati or the Jewish banking conspiracy or the grey alien theory. The truth is far more frightening. Nobody is in control. The world is rudderless. So yeah, big thinking in a lot of these conspiracy theorists' heads is to do with ordering the world. They would rather think that the world is being run by evil people for evil ends, to make it all make sense. And the same people who believe this nonsense are the same people who then vote for evil people to run the world. There's definitely a link there. There is a very strong link there between people who want authoritarian governments, from anywhere on the political spectrum. Authoritarian government, the idea that they like the idea of a authoritarian government because they want someone in control, even if they're evil. They want somebody who can make things make sense, because the world is a messy, it's a very silly place. It's a very silly place. Thank you very much for the super chat. Katrina Tam feeling sorry for me here. Here's some money for your interwebs and also being awesome. Oh, thank you, Katrina. I'm not feeling particularly awesome this week, so thank you for that. That means a lot. By the way, XP for super chats is now literally the exact way to hack my brain to give more super chats. Lol. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that, Katrina. That is really cool. Yeah, you get you get XP for chatting as well, double points. It's double point Wednesday or something, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, like being anti-vax is now an identity. It's a lifestyle brand. It's a culture war stance. This is one more facet in this horrific culture war that the right have concocted to turn us against each other. And we all know someone that we've fallen out about over this, and they love this. This is like conspiracy theories about vaccinations. It's the same thing that's driving transphobia. It was Rupert Murdoch in 2016 decided that he was going to have a pop at trans people. And this is where we are, because They want us all arguing amongst ourselves. Brexit, really good example of culture war bullshit, where you pitted neighbour against neighbour, you pitted family member against family member. This is divide and rule, straight out of the playbook of the British Empire. What we used to do to other countries, we are now well and truly doing it to ourselves to keep the rich in power and to allow the super rich to accumulate more and more and more assets, to just hoard their money like Smaug. Weak people want strong leaders. Yeah, that's very true, Paul. Thank you so much for that super chat there, mate. It's very kind of you. Yeah, weak people want strong leaders. I think that's very true. I want decent leaders. I want good leaders. Not necessarily me, you know. Oh, hang on. You missed a super chat from George at the end of the last stream. Not sure if you can check it out later or something. Thanks so much for that, George. I'll give you a little animation and a little wave. Thank you, sir. But yeah, I did miss that. It didn't come up on my feed, unfortunately. Ivan's nephew birthday, yay! Many happy returns to your nephew. Ivan says Diz. 6 today. Oh, they're great when they're 6. I mean, they're a nightmare for their parents, but if you're an uncle or something, or a friend of the family, they're fucking great. Just go around, have a laugh, and then leave. You don't have to deal with them. Here's your child. You can have them back now. You can put them to bed. Good luck. But yeah, it goes so fast, Katrina. It really does. Yes, it does. What, the stream or childhood? Life. So yeah, taking the jab now, or I mean, most anti-vaxxers have been vaccinated. The vast majority of anti-vaxxers have been vaccinated. But this isn't just about health. It's a political loyalty test. You know, I would rather that my children die than admit that liberals are right. That's where we are right now. And I can just remind everyone, I'm writing a screenplay at the moment in which one of the characters has to travel from the UK to Papua New Guinea very quick. And I was just thinking, actually, how could he do that? Because he'd had to get vaccinated against all this stuff. And it takes, some of the vaccination programs take weeks. Like you have one vaccination, I can't remember whether it was hepatitis B or rabies, or it was a long time ago, diphtheria, Japanese encephalitis, whatever it was. You know, it was like a month-long program. So I had the first jab, and then a week later I had the second jab, and then a month later, a month from the first jab, I had the third jab, and it was a 3-jab process. I'm gonna have to do a bit of research and whether that's sped up now. But before I went travelling to every country in the world, I got myself vaccinated against everything, against absolutely everything. It cost about £1,000, I think, in the end. Rabies, Japanese encephalitis, yellow fever, hepatitis A and B. I got vaccinated against everything. I had so many jabs. My arm was like, I didn't get ill. I know the anti-vax lot love their anecdotes, but like, look at this. I was travelling on some grotty forms of transport. I was travelling on cargo boats in Africa that were like tramp steamers, effectively. We were sleeping at one end of the boat, and at the other end were like livestock. I mean, it was just, yeah. I slept on buses, I slept on the top of trucks, I slept on people's floors, I slept on the concrete floor of 2 separate jail cells, 5 nights in each. I ate food. I ate food that was like at the side of the road with some guy with a barbecue, you know, in I don't know, Benin, and he was just cooking meat on the barbecue. And he'd have a pile of like breadsticks, like soft bread, and they'd be covered in flies, and he'd just shoo the flies away and pick one up, and then there you go, mate. Thanks. I'm trying to wipe off the flies. And I didn't get ill. 4 years. 4 fucking years. 201 countries, 17 territories, in some incredibly unsanitary situations. You know, think about the toilets that I had to use. Don't think about them too much because, but like, didn't get ill. Didn't get it. Now, I am either the luckiest person ever in the history of the world ever, or I took my health seriously, I got my vaccinations, and I took my anti-malaria prophylactics. What will it be? What will it be? I just realised that the chat on the screen here is the old chat. So I'm going to just refresh that, if you don't mind. Oh, no, I pissed that up. I controlled C when I needed to control V. And you hate it when that happens. Oh, wow, Plum Duff. Oh, thank you very much for the mega chat. I don't have a mega chat animation on this one, so I'll just do super chat for now. But this is actually a mega chat that has come in. Hang on, let me just check. I might actually have a mega chat animation. Do I have a mega chat in there somewhere? No. Oh, I do have a mega chat animation that I can perform for you now. Thank you very much, Plum Duff. Have a mega chat right in the middle of my face. Let's move that down a bit. Yes! Thank you for the mega chat. Really, really appreciate that, Plum Duff. We all know Graham Hughes is a brilliant bloke. Happy August. Oh, thank you so much, Plum Duff. That's so generous and kind. And I hope you have a happy August as well. That's really kind. Success is at least 50% luck, no matter how hard you try. It is. Absolutely. It is. There's so much luck that has gone into it. I do also think that I was a bit lucky not getting ill on my journey around the world. But at the same time, I did everything in my power to make it so that I didn't get ill. And one big part of that was getting all of my bloody vaccinations. Flies are good protein. That's true. I've seen a toilet much worse than the worst toilet in Scotland from train spotting. So have I, Alan. So have I. That's a good protein. Thanks very much, George, and thank you so much, Plum Duff. That is incredibly, incredibly kind of you. The anti-vax movement is eugenics, and I think it's really important that we start stressing this link between the two. Let nature take its course is essentially saying let vulnerable people die. Anti-vaxxers pretend this is about bodily autonomy, but really it's about exclusion. Exclusion of the disabled, the elderly, the immunocompromised, and often the poor. We've seen historic parallels. I mean, talking about Sparta. I mean, whether they did, say, oh, this baby's too weak and throw them off a cliff. Whether that did actually happen or not is, it might be just a myth made up by the Athenians to show how uncivilized the Spartans were. However, we have seen this happen, and I've spoken about this before. Nazi Germany, disabled people were sterilized, and then they were exterminated. They were put in the showers, in the gas chambers. We saw this with Idi Amin in the 1970s in Uganda when they drove thousands of disabled people into Lake Victoria. Like they threw them in the lake. RFK, cancelling life-saving research in 2025 and saying it's fine. Nature will sort it out. Yeah, nature wants you dead. Nature wants us all dead. The fact that we live so long, the fact that we're allowed to do so much in our lives is a big fuck you to nature. Mobile phones aren't natural. The internet's not natural. It's been built by humans. Flying isn't natural. Driving a car's not natural. An internal combustion engine does not occur in nature. And I hate this whole, because this is where it falls into the whole wellness trap of like, it's all holistic wellness. And contemporary, modern medicine doesn't have the answers for everything. Well, of course it doesn't. There's still things that don't work for people. I've spoken about this on this channel many times, where I keep stressing that just because something worked for you or didn't work for you doesn't mean it is necessarily going to work or not work for somebody else. And we need to get that through our thick heads. We're all different. And yes, modern medicine might have failed one person. You know, Mike, our friend on the channel, modern medicine didn't let him down. Modern medicine cured him of his cancer. He had cancer. Modern medicine got rid of it. That's a miracle. It's an absolute bona fide miracle. But at the same time, you know, other people are dying of cancer because it's not worked, because they've been different, or it's a different type of cancer or whatever. And then looking at that and going, oh, well, you know, we'll throw the baby out with the bathwater, like the Spartans. Oh, cancer treatment doesn't work because this one person I know who died of it. And that's not the way it works. It's not the way it works at all. And I think we need to take a step back and think about how the thinking that we should leave everything to nature. Because don't forget, saying things aren't natural is also used a lot by people on the right to say that gay people shouldn't get together, to say that gay people shouldn't get married, to say that trans people shouldn't exist. Because they go, oh, it's just not natural. It's not natural. When it absolutely is. Because we see transgenderism across species. It's not just humans who do that. We see homosexuality across species. It's not just humans who do that. There are gay animals all over the animal world. When the female lions are out hunting, because that's what the females do, the males don't hunt, the females hunt. When they're off hunting the food for dinner, the males are all sitting around having sex with each other. True story. It's just not natural. You know, it's used an excuse. It's used an excuse to be horrible. Nature is seen as something that needs to be respected in one respect when it comes to being prejudiced, being bigoted, being a homophobe, being a transphobe. But then it's something that we don't respect at all when it comes to deforestation, the explosion of plastic production, the carbonaceous slime that we are pouring out all over the planet and into the atmosphere of the planet when we burn it, and the greenhouse effect that's causing. They don't care about that. When we say, hey, what about this kind of nature? Oh no, we're not interested in that kind of nature. It's very self-serving. It's very self-serving. I think nature is beautiful and to be respected, but also I am very aware that nature wants you dead. If you've had appendicitis, you've had your appendix out, you shouldn't be here. You are only here because of modern medicine. If you'd been born a few hundred years ago, you'd be dead. You wouldn't be here right now. That is nature taking its course. Queen Anne of the UK. She was the richest person in the country at the time. And she got pregnant 18 times. 18, 1-8. And every single one of those pregnancies either ended in miscarriage, stillbirth, or the child would die before the age of 5. All 18. That's because that's what medicine was like back in the day. 150 years ago, every single baby that was born, either it was a 50-50 chance if the mum died or the baby died. Why did people have so many kids back in the day? Well, because most of them wouldn't survive to the age of 5. And yes, it is an affront to nature that we've stood up against it and said, no, we're not going to die of diseases. We're going to sort out why these diseases happen, and we're going to knock them out. We're going to get rid of them through vaccination. And obviously, the people who are anti-vaxxers want to use nature as an excuse to just be eugenicists. And we've got to stop them doing this, because if you talk to a social Darwinist, they'll say the same thing. Oh, it's just nature. It's just natural. Natural that white people should be, you know, at the top of the pecking order, you know, the food chain, because, you know, we're superior with our 1% of DNA from Neanderthals. Yeah. Really, 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 really disgraceful what has happened in America and what they want to do over here. So don't forget, anything that's happening in America right now, you'll see it happening in the UK if we don't stand up and make a fuss about it now. This idea of only the strong should survive, and and this equates health with moral worth. This is what anti-vax, especially in the libertarian spaces, want. This overlaps with anti-disabled, ableist sentiment, fat phobia, racism, classism. The COVID deaths were disproportionately poor, ethnic minorities, disabled. The anti-vaxxers didn't care because they didn't want to. I mean, it didn't affect them as much. They don't know anyone who died, so what's the problem? Which is, again, a mindset based in the most toxic form of arrogance, dick-headed arrogance, people who are thick as pig shit, thick as mince, but they think they know better. They think they know better through nothing other than their own, I don't know, ideas of grandeur. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. In fact, Ivan, I'm going to upgrade your super chat. I'm going to give you a mega chat because you gave a mega chat yesterday. So I appreciate that. And I didn't have the mega chat animation set up. So now I do. Thank you for that yesterday. That was really kind of you, Ivan. The same with mental health treatment. Yes, e.g. medications. It can take ages to get the correct medications for patients. And some are suitable for some or not for others. Yeah. The list of side effects on medicines doesn't mean that you're definitely going to get those side effects. It just means that these side effects have been found to have happened in people. And you might get no side effects at all. You might get mild symptoms of one particular side effects, but the idea with side effects is to say, if you take this and you feel dizzy an hour later, please stop taking it, because this isn't the medicine for you. This medicine is supposed to make you feel better. It's going to make you feel worse. But for most people, it makes them feel better. But for you, it'll make you feel worse. And don't feel bad about that. Don't feel like you're broken or something. And don't blame the medicine, because it does work for other people. And I talked about anti-malarials. Like, people take Lariam and then say, no, I didn't take any more anti-malarials because Lariam fucked me up and gave me these bad nightmares, which it can do. Try another one. Try another anti-malarial. There's more than one on the market. Top tip as well, if you're going somewhere for a little while and you need some anti-malarial tablets, doxycycline, you got to take it every day, which is a ball ache, but whatever. Doxycycline is also something that is prescribed for acne. So if you have, especially if you're a bit younger maybe, and you have a lot of spots, sometimes I still get spots, go to the doctor, say, I've got a problem with acne, can I have some doxycycline? Especially if you know your doctor, and you can get a prescription for a month's worth of doxycycline, which you then use as anti-malarials, and you save a lot of money. You can do that if you want. I'm not saying you should, but that's a way of getting your anti-malarials. Because I do think it's better that you don't get malaria and then come home and then expect the NHS to cure your malaria for you. Do you know what I mean? Be a lot cheaper in the long run for the taxpayer if you just got your anti-malarials before you left. Never really understood why, when people are going away to other countries where they might get a terrible disease and bring it back to the UK, it's not free. But, they say, well, it's your choice to go there. Fair enough. Okay, so, the role of social media is something that's huge in this. And I know that I've gone a bit over time. I'm probably getting into trouble now for going over time. The role of social media is huge in all this. And this is how mistrust gets manipulated. Algorithms prioritize engagement, not truth. And they find that things that make people laugh or make people happy don't get as much engagement as things that people get angry about, Anger and fear equals clicks every time. Anti-vax influencers rake in so much money by sowing fear. YouTube monetization, Substack grifts, supplement sales. So when people start rejecting medicine, they start going for alternative medicine, as in an alternative to medicine. Stuff that doesn't fucking work. Now, I do believe there is a place in our holistic healthcare system for complementary medicine. And yes, I am aware that 99% of that shit is placebos. But here's the thing. placebos work. If people believe that their St. John's wort is going to cure depression through the power of magic, whatever it is, it sometimes does. It sometimes, well, it doesn't cure it, but it sometimes helps because people believe it will help. And belief is a huge thing in getting things to work. And this isn't just something that is psychological. This is something also that we've seen where patients who have ulcers, stomach ulcers, have seen those stomach ulcers shrink after they've taken placebos. So this is a physiological change that has happened because people are taking placebos. So if people want to go into Holland and Barrett and waste a fiver on some cod liver oil tablets which do nothing, fine. Go with God. If you want to buy a load of vitamin supplements, right, and take them all, even though your body can only absorb so much of that vitamin and you just shit out the rest, right? But that doesn't matter. You're going to shit out 99% of that thing. It's not going to do anything for you necessarily. But if you believe that it does, then it does. I know that's mad, but that's the situation we have. So I have no problem with complementary medicine. And that's what it should be called. Complementary therapy, let's say. Maybe not use the word medicine. When people talk about alternative medicine, they mean an alternative to medicine, which is invariably woo. It's some quackery. It's snake oil. It's some bullshit artist who's usually a millionaire trying to sell some shit to desperate people who are ill or dying, and they're exploiting them and making money out of it. Making money out of human misery is something that I think should be against every law. All the laws put together, making money out of human misery is possibly, one of the worst crimes that humans can commit. And do not OD on vitamins. Some can be extremely toxic. Well, anything can be toxic. Water can be toxic. Drink too much water and you will die. Simple as that. If I sat here in an hour of the show, I know I've gone a bit over time, but we had that break. If I sat here and drank 50 litres of water, I'd literally die. Water can be toxic, especially if you try and breathe it. Anyway, anger and fear, clicks. People feel seen and heard by the charlatans selling them snake oil in a way they don't by institutions. And this is something that we see time and time again. We've seen it throughout history, but the internet has absolutely weaponized it and just made it much worse than it ever was and ever needed to be. The snake oil salesmen have really taken over the earth in so many ways. And, there's also a fault here at the failed of institutions that have failed. Like, mistrust in the government is not entirely irrational. Don't forget, Boris Johnson was having parties during COVID when he's telling everyone else to stay at home and not be at their friends' funerals. Their friends' funeral. Their friend's funeral? I think people have more than one funeral. They lied to people. And I don't trust the government necessarily, but this isn't necessarily the government telling you to do stuff. This is the NHS. This is paediatricians, not just in this country, but all over the world, saying, please, for the love of God, just vaccinate your kids. Vaccinate yourself if you're going somewhere that has yellow fever. You need your yellow fever vaccination certificate if you go to a region that has yellow fever. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat, my friend. Ivan's been incredibly generous this week. Thank you so much, Ivan. I know we all want to push back online, but the trouble is, as soon as we intervene, it bumps up the lies even more in the algorithms. These are rock and hard place situations. What do we do? You're absolutely right, Ivan. And where we go towards the way we react to bullshit online, the first thing we want to do, like you say, Ivan, is just to respond to them going, this is bullshit. That bumps it up in the algorithm. The best thing we can do is lobby our parliamentarians to say, you have got to get a lid on this. You've got to stop outright lies being printed in the newspapers and being published online without any retraction or without need to retraction or whatever. Katrina Tam says, what's your opinion on acupuncture? Great. I guess people get an hour to just feel like they're being pampered and looked after, I can see how that will make people feel better. Wouldn't recommend it if you got cancer. I don't think it's going to cure my ADHD, but it'd be nice for someone to lavish attention on me for an hour. Although I'd probably prefer to have a massage rather than have needles poked into my skin. Just one of those things. Yeah, but some people, it makes them feel better. And making them feel better gives them a better outcome at the end of the day. A better health outcome through feeling positive and feeling happy. Good. Do it. So yeah, I don't say we should ban these alternative, don't use the word alternative, complementary remedies, but also make it very clear that they cannot peddle themselves as a cure-all like chiropractors did. Do you remember that? Do you remember when they sued? It was Daniel Dennis. Who was it who got sued for saying that chiropractors were a load of shit, full of shit? Because they were saying that we could give your spine a bit of a massage and that'll cure your cancer, or something. Was it? Who was it? Sam? No, it wasn't Sam. Who was it? Ben Goldacre. I think it was Ben Goldacre. Didn't he get sued by the National Institute of Chiropractors for saying that chiropractic, chiropody, whatever it's called, couldn't cure cancer? And they were like, how dare you say we couldn't cure cancer? Of course we can. And they were found in the court of law to not be able to cure cancer. I had acupuncture with my ears with alcohol therapy, felt okay for 45 minutes a week. The teas taste like shit. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Given that 99% of all life that has ever existed on the planet does now exist, us just still being here is a miracle in itself. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I nearly drowned in a paddling pool aged around 4. Bloody hell, that's not good. It's a bit shit. A woman, this is from Sarah, a woman in America entered a hold your bladder contest and drank 7 litres of water and died because the water diluted her blood and took the oxygen out of it. That's awful. That is absolutely awful. But yeah, you can die from drinking too much water. Everything is poisonous. It's just the dosage. It's just the dosage. So yeah, big pharma as well as pharma with PH also have some blame to this as well. They've done shady things. The opioid crisis in America was them. Pricing up insulin through the roof for people who are diabetic and absolutely reliant on that to stay alive, making Vitamin inhalers, like the cost of that, go through the roof. So many things they've done in the and doing tests on homeless people. I mean, even recently, not publishing reports into their drugs that aren't that great. They do a study into their drug and they don't get the results they want, so they put it in a drawer, don't publish it. There's a lot of shady things that these companies do, and it's up to the government to keep these companies in line. But again, that mistrust has been weaponized by people who want to make loads of money. The anti-vaxxers take that mistrust and they twist it into something that is deadly. And there's global consequences to this. Polio is back. Especially in Pakistan, in Afghanistan. Vaccine hesitancy, mismanagement, and conspiracy theories have caused polio to return after near eradication. Vaccine workers are being murdered at the moment in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Fake records, cold chain failures, political interference. One of the worst things that the CIA ever did, and it's done a lot of serious shit in its time, but for the knock-on effect, was they used a vaccination drive to track down Osama bin Laden. A fake vaccination drive. In a country where people mistrust Western medicine anyway. And the blowback from that is huge. And then there's rare forms of ailments or mutations or complications uh, coming from the oral polio vaccine, and this is being used as an excuse by anti-vaxxers to reject all vaccines. And injectable vaccines are safer, but they are more expensive to produce and harder to distribute, especially in rural areas of places like Afghanistan and Pakistan. And the CIA's fake vaccine campaign in Pakistan absolutely did undermine trust, but the solution isn't just junk science. The solution is transparency. Be as transparent as possible, which is not what RFK Jr. is doing. He is on a Trumpist war on reality. He's not some hippie outsider. He's a multi-millionaire born into one of the richest families in America, given everything he'd ever want in his life. He was a drug dealer in university. He's lived his life as a playboy, taking all the drugs he wanted to, drinking as much as he wanted to, and now he's an old man, a bitter, twisted, sick old fuck who is sitting there going, oh, well, I think we should... Oh, actually, I'll do a better impression. I think that we should stop children from living. He's like bloody Dr. Strangelove, isn't he? Well, at least he was a scientist. This is replacing science with vibes. It's replacing medicine with memes, and it's pushing a brutal survivalist ideology wrapped in a pseudo-liberal language. And the policies so far of RFK, he's fired the entire vaccine advisory board. He's pulled the funding on mRNA, which I told you about this morning. He's removed the COVID jab vaccine, schedule for children and pregnant people, and he's attacked the Federal Drug Administration, the FDA, and also the CDC, Centers for Disease Control. He's attacked their legitimacy. Like an internet troll. But this guy is in charge of health in America, and he's going after the people who are keeping Americans as healthy as they possibly can in their super capitalistic creation, uncivilization that they have created. And the US is going to lose children as a result of this, not just to COVID, but to flu, to RSV, to polio, to whatever pandemic hits next. The UK and the EU have got to be ready to pick up the scientific slack here and, steal their knowledge, steal their scientists, take them, poach them, because I want those scientists to be sciencing. I don't want them to be sitting there at home waiting for Trump to not be president anymore. I don't want them to be getting a job at Starbucks when they have the knowledge to take the progress forward on vaccines, where we can get to a point where we do eradicate not just measles and polio, which we were on the brink of eradicating anyway. We would have been on the we were on the brink of eradicating had it not been for the anti-vaxxers and their eugenics loving friends. But also, we could be looking at vaccinations against stuff like malaria. And I know they're going, but Graham, malaria is a parasite from a it's not a virus as such. But no, there have been great strides made towards a vaccine for something as complex and difficult to sort of vaccinate against as malaria. This is phenomenal stuff, and maybe soon we'll have vaccines for Zika, we'll have vaccines for Ebola, we'll have vaccines for loads of stuff that is currently killing so many people around the world unnecessarily. To pull back the progress, to diminish the life's work of so many people in this way because of pop science, pseudoscience. So let's take the brightest and the best. Let's get them over here, and then maybe we'll think about selling the results back to them when they come begging. Oh no, all our children are dying. Well, what did you think was going to happen? What happened with insulin in America? What happened with vaccines? Supply side eugenics. Those who can't afford or access the protection will die. And this is the future that the Tories want. This is the future that that conservatives around the world want. They want a two-tier system for everything: education, life, work, health. They want it so that the rich can travel the world and do what they want and live the life that they want to do, that they want to live. They want to take all the drugs they want to take. They want to get all the best medicine. They want to get all the best. They want to go to all the events, all the concerts, all the football matches, and they want to muscle us out of it all. They want everything for themselves, and they don't want to share. These are selfish, evil people. Evil, capital E. They want people who are not as good as they are to die. So, I think something that we should talk about quickly before I go, because I have gone way over time. Let's talk about debunking tactics. Ivan made a good point about, not wanting to amplify the voices of people. So if you're talking to someone in real life and you're not online, don't say you're wrong. Just show how they've been manipulated. Use analogies like seatbelts, helmets, parachutes. There was always a pushback. There was a pushback against seatbelts when seatbelts came out. People said, "Oh, it will kill more people." It didn't. We push back against low traffic neighborhoods. Oh, you're seeing this with refuck now, pushing back against it. Oh, how dare you make streets safer for our children? How dare you? I want to drive as fast as I like and get away with it because I'm rich. And then you've got, we need to reframe the narrative, talk about getting jabbed. It's not about just you. It's about protecting your community. It's about protecting your neighbours. It's protecting all the other kids in the school that your kid goes to. And we need to make this link very, very loud and obnoxious link, as loud as obnoxiously as we can, because it's true. Anti-vaxism is eugenicism. That's what it is. They want to kill the weak, or people they see as the weak. It is social Darwinism. It is fucking evil, and we need to call it out and make that link with people. When someone says, "Oh, I'm not sure," you say, "Are you a eugenicist?" Ask them the question, "Are you a eugenicist?" And take them down that road. Say, is that the world you want to create? Where the weak babies are thrown off the cliff? Is that what you want? Yeah? Because, I hate to say this, but one day that weak baby might be your baby. How are you going to feel about it then? Are you going to be at the baby's funeral going, "Well, they weren't as strong as their older brother, so I guess they had to die. If only there was some way, using modern medicine, that they could have stayed alive and lived a happy and full life." But, yeah. This is selfishness dressed up as freedom. And vaccines offer collective care to communities, to towns, to cities, to countries, to the world entirely. Don't let this be just an argument about science, because the people who go for it don't really understand science. This is an argument about ideology, and what their extremism is fascism. And we need to push for education reform. We need to have more transparency with the pharmaceutical companies, and we also need better media literacy and better controls on what people are allowed to say to people. Because what is the difference between some gruesome bastard on the internet or in real life goading someone into taking their own life? Okay? Dead person. They're now dead, right? What is the difference between that and someone who has a curable disease, who is told not to get the cure to that disease because it's modern medicine and it's bad and it's out to get them, right? That person stops that person getting the medicine that they need for that disease. They put coffee up their arse or something mad like that, which actually happened to a young woman who died, 22 years old. She died of cancer. There's a story about it on the BBC last month. What's the difference? You've got two dead people. One of them was talked into killing themselves, talked into committing suicide. The other one was talked into not taking the medicine that they needed to stay alive. The outcome is the same. You have someone who has manipulated two different people to not be alive anymore. And I think that the people who do that should be in fucking jail. Should be absolutely in fucking jail for the rest of their miserable fucking lives. It drives me mad. It drives me absolutely mad that they get away with it. And yeah. So yeah, the opportunity we have at the moment now in the UK and in the rest of Europe is to get the scientists over here. I say an opportunity, it's an unfortunate opportunity. I don't really want it to be the case, but we can't let the scientific endeavour of these people and these institutions go to waste, which it will under Trump and RFK Jr. We need to, make the vaccines, flog it back to them. Hey, it's capitalism. I thought you liked capitalism, America. Capitalism. Maybe we could use the money that we make from flogging them the vaccines to give vaccines for free to developing nations around the world. How about that? They can, since they're not giving any money from US aid anymore and they're letting babies die of HIV, because the aid that was supposed to be given to them wasn't given to them. Was it 1 million tons? £1 million pounds. £1 million worth of food was just thrown away by the US because they bought it for US aid and then they just left it in a warehouse and it perished. The hopeful note to end this show. The majority of us still believe in science, and the majority of us, the vast majority, believe that vaccines save lives, which they do. And we can and we must outnumber the conspiracy cultists and call them out as eugenicists. Make them feel bad about themselves, because they go down this anti-vax route because they want to feel good about themselves. They want to feel like they've cracked the code, they're smarter than everyone else, they're more erudite, they've seen through the lies. They want to big up themselves. Make them, see that what they're doing is the same as what the Nazis did in the 1930s. Because no one wants to be called a Nazi. Even Nazis don't really like being called Nazis most of the time. I'm not a racist, but... God, how many times have you heard that? But we need to speak louder, we need to speak smarter, and we need to speak with more compassion than they do. And that's the way we win. That's the way we win. But don't make no mistake about it. We're in a war. We're in the battle for the soul of this nation, for the soul of this planet. And unfortunately, the evil people have all the fucking money. We could do with a bit more money, and then maybe we could help spread our message far and wide. But even just by watching these shows, even by just watching stuff that Phil and Max and Super Tansky and Aid and all our friends put on online, Femi, Zoe, look, if you can just do one thing today, watch a video by a content creator on the left, do you like, and share it. Share it to someone. Actually send it as a message to someone. Hey, you should listen to this person. They talk a lot of sense. Don't necessarily share this, because obviously I don't. But and I've gone on a bit, and this has been in two parts. But each of about 48 minutes each. So I'm going to head off now. Supermassive Wayne says every day. And cost over 100,000 to incinerate. That's from Brett Wall, talking about the food mountain that was wasted. Kirsty said that quote misattributed to Voltaire was before the advent of Nazism and fascism. It's not an opinion to state that a group of people should not exist or suggest their eradication. What was the quote by Voltaire? I love Voltaire. You should read Candide. Is it Candide, the book that Voltaire wrote? Oh, it's definitely. Someone in the UK will begin the same misinformation about medicine. Stop anyone talking shit with anti-science and debate them there and then. Says Trip. Yes. One Angry Pagan. 150 years of scientific advancement slowly going up in smoke because of weak minds and fearmongers. Yeah. And money. Let's never get away from this. The secret ingredient is money. The money people are behind this. And at the end of the day, I'll leave you with this. What's been more profitable for the pharmaceutical industry? Has it been my partner having the measles jab or the MMR jab back in the early 80s, which she couldn't have, but imagine she had had that jab, which they would have made pennies on, right? But instead, she's had to go her entire life needing support and needing medical aids in order to live a normal life, a relatively normal life. And the hearing aids that she uses are incredibly expensive. And maybe if her hearing gets, what little hearing that she has when she's got hearing aids in, if that goes away and she has to have a cochlear implant, just think about how much money that they're going to make out the NHS giving her a cochlear implant. The NHS isn't going to make that money. The pharmaceutical companies who make, dreamt up this procedure and patented the technology, they're going to make a load of money out of it, out of the NHS, which is your money. So yeah, the secret ingredient is money. Always. It's the rule. From Deep Throat in the 1970s, not the porno, but the informant saying, follow the money. Follow the money every time. And you'll see time and time again that there is some financial incentive for these people to be monsters. The problem is, a lot of people who have no financial investment whatsoever in these kind of things fall for the flim-flam. They fall for the woo, for the razzle-dazzle, for the I can cure you, I can hypnotize you into making your boobs bigger, said a certain wannabe leader of a major political party in the UK. Anyway, moving on. What's this? Yeah, but who's going to play football for them if all the poor people are dead of childhood diseases? Says Paula Thomas. Yeah, exactly. The quote misattributed to Voltaire. I've read that one. Sorry. What was the quote? The 31st migration deadline. September, EHRC want to push exclusion. So 31st is a different deadline, hopefully sooner. I don't know how to handle migration, and I'm not going to ask. That's some L. Oh, before I go, yeah, can we, is the ECHR consultancy, is that still going on? Consultation on trans rights. There's a transaxual. Okay, so I'm assuming that this is still going on. Yeah. Oh no, it was just until it was the end of June. Okay, yeah. No. Think along before you answer. Sorry, I'm just seeing if this is still live for us to send out. I'm on the transactional site. Listen, if you want to have a look at this, but this is obviously really, really important. I've just put the link in the chat there. This is to do with the EHRC, which is the Equalities and Human Rights Commission in London. This is about their consultation that they're having. I don't know if it's still going on right now, but our consultation closed. Okay, Kirsty, sorry. Shouldn't have shared that, but there you go. Paula Thomas, you should really read up on Voltaire's girlfriend, Emily de Châtelet, who translated Newton's work into French. Wow. It's funny you should say that, Paula, because she's actually a character in a screenplay that I've written. So, yeah. She did actually correct. She corrected some of Newton's mathematics. Famously, he said that E equals mv, motion and velocity, I think. Was it? Mass and velocity. And she corrected it to E equals mv squared, which might sound familiar, because obviously there's a very famous equation that came sometime afterwards. But yeah, we were all working off the work of people who came before us, and as Isaac Newton has said, apparently, if I've seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. So, social Darwinism, theory rejected by Charles Darwin himself. His cousin has a lot to answer for. Yeah, one-eyed pagan. Charles Darwin did not like the idea of social Darwinism at all, and it's really unfortunate that a good man's name, like Charles Darwin, is one of the best men who's ever bloody lived, to be honest with you. Men are mostly shit. He was one of the few good ones, by the sound of things. A little obsessed with worms, but, who isn't? Yeah, he's someone who's definitely on the spectrum. Come on. Charlie D, yeah. Trip says, politics changes, it always does, and the people making the rules now won't always be there. Nothing is forever, and stupid people don't last long. Thank you, Trip. I'm going to leave it on that note, because that is absolutely beautiful of the way you've put that, and you're absolutely right. Things change, some things get worse, some things get better, but I do think that the march of, society does get better, bit by bit, little by little. No matter how much these dinosaurs want to take us back to the fucking Stone Age, they won't succeed. They won't win. And to our trans friends out there will still be trans people in 10,000 years' time. There won't be a J.K. Rowling in 50 years' time. Transphobia will go the way of the dinosaurs, and trans people will still be here. They will always be here. They've always been here, and they will always be here. So, be excellent all, says Supermassive Wayne. Yeah, let's say that. They are like that, Wayne. Yeah. So, be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes. Until next time, I'll be back tomorrow morning at bright and early at 9 o'clock. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Normal service will be resumed on Friday. I'll be back in the studio. So until then, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the super chats. Ta-da.